everyone, we're INPNZ. Welcome back to another podcast episode with us, Interviews for Inclusivity. Today, we as INPNZ, we're just going to be having an open discussion about the issue that we are taking action against and finding out our own perspectives on this issue. Why are we doing this action on the issue? Sorry. We are doing this, well, for me, I'm doing it because I've noticed that there is a lack of support, and that isn't from my personal experiences, but it's from hearing other people's stories and recognizing that there is a lack of support, being close to people who are struggling because either teachers don't know how to support them or they're not getting the proper support that they need from the government. And it's not fair that some students aren't getting the support they need purely because they're neurodivergent, and that there's a lack of support from the government and understanding and awareness that leads them to not be succeeding in the education system. It's leading them down, and we've got to take action so that it is inclusive for everyone.
I guess for me, with my personal role with Tiaka, and then also doing my social inquiry on looking into is New Zealand fair for students with disabilities in the education system, which is a bit more generalised. It brought up a lot more knowledge for me surrounding how the government doesn't support students and how there are a lot of gaps and holes in the education system where students are failing as a result of it. And I guess kind of being enlightened about that and not previously knowing about that, there was a lot of I guess it kind of made me a lot more aware on the topic, but then also made me realise that, like me, a lot of other people won't be aware about it, and that's something that we need to do.
Because a big thing with this issue is that there isn't much knowledge and awareness on it, and I think that's a big part of why there isn't much action taken to support neurodivergent students. There's just a lot of not amount understanding, which is letting people down.
Seeing my brother struggle every day, coming home asking me for help because he doesn't get the proper support that he needs at school. He has teachers for help and stuff, but the teachers themselves don't know how to help him because they're not educated enough. They don't know the help that he needs. They don't understand what he needs, and that's I see that coming from a lot of teachers, and they just don't know how to help students. And I see that in our school a lot as well, and me for myself as well. I struggle when it comes to exams and stuff, and I have a few teachers who are good at helping, but in some subjects teachers just don't know how to help. And that's why I want to take an action, not just make a change for me or my brother, but for other people as well.
For the community.
Exactly.
I have a twin sister and older brother who both had problems within the education system with their diagnosis or just support in general. And then also on my last assessment I did focus on neurodiversities in schools, and there was not much resources I could go off, or a lot of lack of knowledge from people when reading articles and stuff. So I think just there's a lack of understanding for what students need and what it looks like.
It's definitely a lot of the reasons why we wanted to take actions are through seeing people struggle. And as well, for me being a neurotypical student, I recognizing that people aren't getting the support and they're struggling because of it, and it's where am I as a neurotypical student, I'm yes, education's hard, But imagine being someone
Yeah.
who's finding it so challenging
there's
and no support
yeah,
at all, and it's just there needs to be a push for inclusive education.
Through private tutor, but they didn't take any actions, and especially in early childhood.
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of looking into like why as a whole does New Zealand not, and that's schools and governments and teachers and every kind of level of leadership, I guess, why do they not see it as a big enough issue that something needs to be done?
Yeah.
You know, like I think as students we're kind of at that bottom level, we don't have as much power and control over the situation. But I think because our peers, we're able to see the consequences of the lack of support and resources from the government. But why, like, can the school not look at it and go, oh, you know, this percentage of a school's struggling, they all have this and that in common, or maybe they don't, but like what can we do about it? Why, you know, how can we support them? Why isn't there the support? And I guess larger than that, the government and the education system as well.
Exactly. Like from the government, there's a lack of support, funding and acknowledgement on the issue. My mum was saying as an early childhood teacher that there isn't much support when it comes to diagnosing, referring students, and it just takes a long time to let alone get a diagnosis and then get support. And by the time some of her students are diagnosed, they're getting sent off to school when they're not ready, and they're going to school not being able to have a sentence, you know, and it's like those wait times to getting diagnosis and referrals and then support, because of like the lack of support and understanding through the government, it's letting students down from such a young age, and it's like the system is setting them up for failure in a way. Be waiting for so long to get your support and understand why you're struggling. And I guess like what we hope to achieve through some of the actions we're taking, it's definitely more around our teachers. So we're trying to provide more support for teachers, and educating them can better support their students. Trying to get better support for our teachers so they can better support our students in order for our students to succeed. I think that the government, it really does need to acknowledge neurodiversity and how neurodivergent students are struggling when the government's just not acknowledging it.
I feel like government does acknowledge it, but like they just don't take action. Like they're always talking about percentages on how like students are failing and everything. Statistics
but
and everything. But they're never ever taking action on it. They're just always talking about how students are failing.
And they point out other things as like the cause. They go, oh, technology or
and
lack of
bans.
exercise and you know the laziness of our generation is causing a lack of succession and achievement in schools, and they're not the real causes at all. Like I'm sure if you surveyed students and got real statistics, you would find that people are struggling from so many other causes that are out of their control and that are external factors outside of their daily routine and their habits and their screen time.
Exactly.
And I think on a larger scale, like because of the societal stigma and like stereotypes facing neurodiverse students, it's largely like that's kind of largely the cause of why neurodiversity and the lack of support surrounding neurodivergent students is like often brought up, like because you know, like it's not. It's I think because of that kind of what we've heard feeling of like being dumb, or like I guess because if you're not achieving your best, you're put down, and that feeling comes from stereotypes in society and your peers, or you know the lack of support because you look down on yourself because of that. I'm not saying that me personally, but from what we've heard from different point of views, like by that we mean that there isn't a community of people that are out there saying, look, we align with what your like personal experiences, and we want to help you benefit in the education system and help you succeed to be able to achieve best, because they understand the struggle and they understand the need for said things. More importantly, they understand that in 10 years' time, we're the generation that's going to be in government well, maybe not 10 years' time, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In so however many years, we're going to be in all these leadership positions. Like, how do you expect us to achieve those goals and be in those places of decision making and of control and power when we're not even going through school with
The support.
the support and the basic fundamentals and resources to even more than succeed, but feel like you're actually on track and you're doing well. And I think for us as IEPNZ, we are becoming that community. We're starting that by taking our actions and by being our voice and sharing our view and all of the things that we hope to achieve. We're starting to grow that community and reach out to those people and those students and say, we are here, we do understand, we want to hear and share your experiences, and we want to do everything we can to try and help you succeed and to gain those resources that you deserve, because it's you have the right to equal education and you're not receiving it.
Neurodivergent students are being let down. Like, there is no excuse. It's just being ignorant and not recognizing that people are failing and struggling because I just think it's a whole bunch of ignorance, which is just
And an example of that, as we witnessed, was at the parliamentary meeting when we were talking to politicians, and we had that one politician who was just ignorant to even acknowledging that he was speaking to a neurodiverse crowd. He was using a lot of sarcasm with a group of people that had made it very clear and obvious and had actually said it out loud about maybe 3 or 4 different times that they don't pick up on social cues like sarcasm.
Exactly.
And not, I think that is probably the definition of ignorance. Like, being in that room and trying to promote your ethics and your values and show people that you do care, but doing the exact opposite is exactly why people aren't receiving their support.
Exactly. Like, he wasn't being funny, which he was trying to be.
And it's not a funny topic.
No.
Why are we laughing at neurodiverse students failing? Why did he, like, especially someone who's deemed so educated and in a position of power, you know, why do you think that that's ethical and appropriate?
And when he said, like, he wasn't really going to make change,
he joked about how he was only saying that he was going to make change because of the certain people that were in the room. How can you be so ignorant, but how can you also openly admit that? Like, why even attend the hui if you're just going to be a disgrace to politicians and, like, disrespect everyone in that room?
Big voices, and they have, like, they're capable of making change. They don't use their voice in that way. Like, they use it in a completely different way, and they don't try to make change.
I'm assuming we're all liberals here, right? Since we're in quite a conservative government, it's making change for what they think's right, but in reality it's heavily affecting people so, like, on so many different levels, not only just like neurodivergent students, but within our healthcare system, within our justice system, like economically, like so many levels are being
factors
affected. So the bottom line is, we notice that there's definitely a lack of support, understanding, resources, etc., and there needs to be a push to have inclusive education for everybody, no matter whether they're neurotypical or neurodivergent. You should be getting the same support, and you should be able to succeed.
As a basic, like, human right, you have the right to equal education. So everyone deserves to receive that. Bottom line.
Thank you guys for joining us again for another episode of Interviews for Inclusivity. It was a good discussion today with us. So we'll be seeing you hopefully next episode. Bye guys.